So we're down in Dover today, and it's great to see all the people coming out, standing up, because this problem is important to every one of us. So it's so good. Even though there was a few things beforehand, everyone's done their job. Next Dover demo, I expect it to double and keep going when more people wake up. But again, Kent Police have not done themselves any justice at all, because when we're trying to have a legitimate protest, a legitimate march, there's no one's being unruly. The Kent Police decided to bring the counter-protest to us 2-3 times to try and antagonise us, and the pictures you're going to see tomorrow in the Daily Mail and the People on Sunday is going to be at them pinch points. But as you can see, we're not a rowdy bunch today, because it's important what we're here for. There's been some great speakers on there, and yeah, it's been a great day.
Well, the reason I'm here today is because I feel that our country is being taken over. Our government's not worried at all about any of us, and all what's going on now, that are homeless and not having homes, our young children cannot get houses because they're given to illegals.
A few concerned citizens are a bit concerned about the boats coming over. They seem to be destroying their documents, from what I can hear, yeah, to be honest with you, it is quite concerning. I definitely think that the leadership needs to get its act together, and you know, if we can't stop them all together, at least trying to ensure the citizens' safety, and maybe a little bit of a democratic process would be nice.
So what happened today?
Right, so today we had a protest against the invasion on the south coast. We had a fairly decent turnout, over 100 people. The day went peaceful, there was no arrests, we gave some speeches at the end. All of the public in Dover seemed very supportive of the protest, so overall I'd say it went pretty well.
But there was a counter-protest.
Yeah, there was counter-protesters there, but obviously we outnumbered them about 4-1, I'd say, probably maybe even more. They tried to cause a bit of trouble, they tried to disrupt where we was actually going to have our speeches, but we moved everyone away from the actual aggravation, went to a different location and held our speeches in the middle of the town centre rather than dealing with the lefties, because that way we're here to actually have our voices heard rather than argue with the opposition.
And obviously there was police there. How did the police deal with the situation with the two groups?
Well, I feel like the police set us up today, to be honest, because they knew what route we was going on, they knew exactly where we was going to end to do our speeches, but somehow allowed all of the open border fanatics to be standing there when we arrived to scream, shout, throw eggs at some of the people here. Not one of them got arrested, not one of them even got questioned about their activities. So we moved on, we went to a different location, and we made sure that our voices could be heard and people could hear what we had to say.
So they threw things at you?
Yeah, they were throwing eggs at people. Nothing hit me, but a couple of the other protesters got hit with some eggs. One of them threw a bottle, I think, and the police weren't interested at all.
They did nothing?
No.
So in a way, let's be honest, they facilitated the counter-protest.
Oh yeah, they facilitated it like they do every single time. And when we actually arrived and the protesters both met face to face, rather than turn around and face the counter protesters who shouldn't have even been here in the first place because it was our protest that we'd organised peacefully, the police focus on us and they turn towards us rather than turn towards people that are actually causing violence, throwing things, trying to cause criminal damage and assault, but they'd rather be more concerned with a peaceful protest.
Amazing. And like to summarise, like in a few words, what was the main reason for people being here today?
Well, there was a number of reasons that people came today, but I'd say the main reasons people came was to protest against illegal immigration because they're sick of their voices being ignored, as well as the fact that 4 young Afghan males allegedly raped a young girl in a school, and that's why the Dover locals were out, because the children had tried making their voices heard by protesting throughout the week. The school seemed to be trying to cover it up. The media don't want to mention the story, so we came out and tried to make their voices a little bit louder.
Excellent.
So we came here today, we had a march, involved a bit of confrontation with the left, but then we went and had some speeches in the market square. Everything went really well, and I'm glad that we had a good turnout for it.
Excellent. And amazing. But the counter-protesters, what happened with the counter-protesters?
To be honest, it's very hard for me to even say what happened with them because they seem reasonably disorganised. I don't really understand what their message or intention is, because I know they will always say, you know, refugees welcome, or whether they'll talk about racism, but these things aren't necessarily the issues that have brought people here. So when they're endlessly talking about them, they did the same thing in Oxford with the LTNs, and they turned up with the same banners and said the same things, even though it was nothing to do with it. So I don't actually know what their intentions are, other than to silence people and to try and shut people down.
And there was a lot of police presence here today. What are your thoughts about their behaviour and what they did today?
From my experience, I think it was okay. Everything was managed in a reasonably good way, and even though we might not have ended up exactly where we wanted, we ended up in the market square, which was a good place to be, and we were able to do speeches and have our protest there, which me personally, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so let's just be frank here. So people are here protesting today against migrant crossings, right? People coming on boats, undocumented people.
Yes.
And that is a concern for people. In a few words, why is that a concern for people who are just watching this video?
Because you don't know who these people are, you don't know what their intentions are, and you don't know what they're capable of doing. And any normal person would be concerned by people like that being at liberty in the community.
So some people would say, well, that's racist. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
My honest thoughts on that are, I'm not really interested whether it is or not, because at the end of the day, it's still a legitimate concern and it's still a true point.
So it's a legitimate concern, and so it's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
So what are your thoughts about people accusing people of being racist for making a legitimate concern?
I think their only intention is to weaponise the concept of racism in order to try and manipulate people into silencing themselves. It's an attempt to guilt trip people into not raising concerns or not talking about these issues.
Exactly. So last thing I'll ask you is, in a few words, what was the reason for the protest here today?
To protest against the endless stream of undocumented, unvetted people being allowed into this country and the impact that this is having on communities.
Which is something that is actually happening.
Yes.
Registered, there are statistics, it's
Yes.
a real thing.
It is absolutely a real thing, and it is absolutely happening. And the fact that people are so concerned about it that they would come here to protest is the real world evidence that it is a problem.
Exactly. Now, what do you think is the next logical step to get things rolling to kind of fix this? Not a solution, just the next logical step that could happen, people could take.
Before anything can be done to fix the problem, the government must acknowledge that this issue exists. They cannot simply continue to say that all opposition to it is fueled by some sort of bigotry or resentment. They must accept that there is a problem, and they must accept that people do want it to be solved.
A problem according to their own statistics
Yes.
as well.